Sorry.
Really?
Okay, this is the last video. First off, this is the podcast with no name. I am Ebony,
And I'm Paris.
and this is a real book a real discussion, and it's our book review for
The
The
big
Big League. It's the last one, so four
green
out of
screen.
four, four
Yeah.
out of four.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, in this last video, we just kind of want to talk about the practicality. Like, how does the upper limit show up in your life?
Right. Also, they were talking about the last section of the book is like kind of like some of the things you want to implement into your life in order to get to like that upper limit. And also when you are in your upper limit, I mean in your zone of genius, excuse me. Some of the things that you may notice happening in your zone of genius and the ways that your life will change uh, because of that. But I mean, you go ahead and start us off. I'm gonna pull up some of your notes.
Oh, uh, ooh, we both having throat issues.
Uh-huh.
My allergies been kicking my tail all day today.
Yeah, and I just got over a really bad flu for 3 weeks, and I have it again,
Wow.
and I feel like straight garbage. But we are here, and we're doing this because we're committed to this and you guys. And we want to talk about this. So anyway, go ahead, Amy, take us away.
I mean, I would just say for me, upper limiting comes with my bandwagon for positivity. So it's like
Mm,
whatever my cap is, whenever I start to approach it and just go over it a little bit, then I start to self-sabotage. Just like most people. You don't
mm,
realize what your bandwidth for, feeling good or positivity or joy is. You don't even realize that you have that.
mm,
And so a lot of times it's like things will be going good in your life and you start wondering like, oh my goodness. You start wondering, like, oh, when will something happen? When will the other shoe drop? Like this can't be going, so good. What's going to happen? And it's again because we have not increased our bandwidth for positivity or feeling good. We're so used to like, things happening or not feeling good or feeling uncomfortable that when things are actually going good, you know, we upper limit ourselves, we self-sabotage, and we make an already worse situation just so much more challenging.
mm-hmm. And I was just reading, I was kind of like reviewing again, kind of like what he was saying about moving forward and recognizing your upper limit problems and some of the things that we naturally do, especially in our like upper limit problems that start to get us there. And one, he was talking about like time. And a lot of us live in what he say was a word, but anyway, we feel that there's like a certain amount of time. Like you only have the 24 hours to do this. And it's funny things because I hear all the time people joking like me and Beyonce do not have the same 24 hours because it's like how does she do this and not do this? Like I don't understand. But he was talking about it's a matter of like changing your perspective and moving to Einstein time, and that like time is relative. And he said, notice how like when you're doing something really, really fun, you're having a good time, time flies by. But
Mm-hmm.
when you're bored, you're unsatisfied, time is creeping. And basically what you want to do is like reset your mind about that and notice and understand that time has to do with you. The amount of time you have to set is all in how you set it. You are time. The time is not a separate thing. And so if you take that on, you start to realize how much more productive you are in half the amount of time. Um, because you're not saying like, oh, I had to just get this done in an hour or whatever. It's a matter of just telling yourself, hey, I'm going to put my full effort to this and I'm going to get it done in whatever manner or means that it gets done in whatever time, it is what it is. And then you'll start to see like when you're not keeping yourself to a deadline, you're not giving yourself that pressure, you're not uh feeling anxious, and you're able to kind of like more enjoy the task you are, more focus on the task you are instead of the time, and you get things done and you're way more productive. And this is also part of like a small part of things that go into um, you hitting your upper limit problem. Because also mine like an upper limit problem of maybe you self-sabotaging. You may be like, when you consider time, think of people who want to do things by a certain age. And you may not realize that you've accomplished so much by a certain age, but you didn't do
That
this
one thing.
one thing.
Hmm.
Um, and so you're self sabotaging yourself because you're like, I haven't accomplished anything because this is the thing that I was supposed to do. And you're not grateful or mindful of what you have actually done. And if you're not grateful and mindful of what you have, then you're not really respecting the things or taking care of the things that you have. And so, in truth, you're kind of sabotaging the good things that you did do. Um, and again, and that's because you put a time limit or something on yourself and on your life and, what you're supposed to accomplish by a certain time. And that's like a big picture. But they're saying, hey, take it even to the smaller picture of just like that paper you're trying to write. You're so like stuck on like, I need to be done by 5 o'clock. It's just like, look, go ahead and start your paper, write your paper. Don't worry about it. Whatever you got done at whenever, it's gonna be what it is. And if you take that pressure off, you might find that you went ahead and finished it at 3.
Yes, I've experienced that many times in life. It's kind of when people be like, "Oh, you work smarter, not harder," but that's still not it. It's not the right, you
Mm.
know, mindset. What I'm realizing is that either you are doing or you're being. And I find that when I'm being, I get more done than doing. Doing is like in your own accord, you out there working, you doing it, you trying to grind, you trying to get it done. You want it, when you want it. But I find the B is aligning to source. It's getting in flow. And then when it's time for that thing to be done, it's done with ease because you're not forcing yourself to do it. You're not swimming uphill to do it. It's like now is the time to do it. And I really do believe that source, Allah, God, Jehovah, is making the perfect time for you to accomplish what it is that you want to accomplish, right?
So can
But
you
if
give an
you're
example of doing versus being?
So doing to me is anything that you have not asked for divine guidance and it comes with a struggle.
Okay.
So like for instance, you, you, it's nothing that you have to do to wake up. Your body's like, I had enough rest.
Mm.
Bing, I'm awake. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That aligns with the being because it had nothing, you had nothing to do. You see what I'm saying? It did it
Mm-hmm.
on its own. And I
Right.
find many times that like people say you're in the right time, right place. That's just alignment, that's flow. And that's what, to me, what I realized that once I just align myself into flow or align myself into source, that I don't have to work so hard. And it's not a, when people say, oh, work smarter, not harder, they're not talking about even alignment. They're just saying, like, oh, okay, if we got some boxes in the car, instead of taking 10 trips, see if you can take 3, right?
Mm-hmm.
But for me, alignment looks like, oh, you really needed these things, and now there's a knock on your door and it's already at your steps. All you got to do is just bring it into the house. You see what I'm saying? And so a lot of times we, especially in a hustle culture, like we go, I want this job, this car, this husband, this, and we go out there, right? Grinding, hustling, trying to get it. But then we burn ourselves out and we're nowhere near close to our goal. But then there's sometimes where you do nothing and it just pops right there. Like for instance, you looking for a husband. You've been hitting every app, you've been hitting every club, you've been every network event, you've been doing everything trying to get a husband and nothing works, right? And then the moment you go, I ain't even worrying about that no more. I'm gonna go over here and do this and this and this. Boom, there goes the husband, right?
So where were
So
you being in
being, huh?
in the situation with the husband?
Mhm.
What were you being that attracted the husband versus what you were doing?
Being as in you can't control when your husband is going to come or if he's ever
Mm-hmm.
going to come. And as long as you focus on things that you can't control, it can't manifest. So being is aligning the source, trusting that whatever is going to happen will happen, and just going on your life expecting that these things will happen without you having to work so hard to obtain it. Did I explain it right?
Yeah,
You
to
got what I'm
me,
saying? Okay.
yeah, I got what you're saying. To me, like my understanding will be like we were talking about this earlier, but in the matter of a job, right?
Mhm.
Or like say a profession or career.
Mhm.
The type of person that you want to be is you want to be a person of integrity. You want to be a person that's, hardworking. You want to be a person that's resourceful and necessary. You want to be a person that comes with new ideas, that's innovative or whatever. But you can go to work doing all the work. You can do the politics of work. You can go and be nice to everybody. You can do the thing of talking to your boss and asking about whatever. And maybe you'll get that promotion or maybe you'll move up the company. But if you're just being an integral part of the company, you don't have to do anything. You will naturally move up anyway because of the person you are. Like I said, the manner in which you work, the integrity of your work, things whatever. The same thing I feel like happens in life. When you're a person of integrity, when you're a person who's mindful, when you're a person who's purposeful in what they do, you don't necessarily have to go out and do anything to get some of these uh, blessings that other people had to work so hard for. And so, just to integrate an older book that we read into this one, it's about, to me, it's more about moving into personality ethics versus, um, what was the other one? Personality
Character.
ethics versus character ethics.
Mhm.
Yeah. And so it's not about having the good personality, meaning you're showing up being what people want.
Mhm.
You're showing up being who you are. And if
Mhm.
who you are is a good person, then things happen for you anyway. Um, and that's the same thing I was saying, we're saying the same thing in life. And in that too, what you're saying in the practicality of it is when you're being mindful of who you are and stop trying to go out and do and be what they want, then you can also stop upper limiting yourself in that way too.
It just remind me of, did you see Yvonne Orji new stand up?
I did not.
Okay, so it came out on Sunday, and in it, she did like a little, I guess, like a little bit about going to therapy. And then the therapist was talking to her, and she was like, "Oh, what do you like to do for fun? And how do you have fun or whatever?" And she was like, "Why do you always have to accomplish?" And she said, "Well, I have to achieve." And then she said, "Why?" She was like, "Well, how will people know that I'm worthy if I'm not out here working and achieving?" And that's the whole idea that being and doing is, or with this whole upper limit thing is, because when you are in your being zone, it's nothing more to do. You are already enough. You are already worthy. It's nothing more that you can do. It's nothing less that you can do. You are already worthy and enough, right? So it's
Mm-hmm.
not like, oh, I need to go out there and chase all of these accolades and all of these, resources in order for people to like me, for people to love me, for people to want to be around me and give me chances and opportunities. That is the doing. It's like I'm taking all of my energy to go out into this world and try to make something manifest, as opposed to taking my energy and focusing on, why I'm worthy, what
Mm-hmm.
makes me worthy, and not again something that I can do or not do. It's like, what makes me inherently worthy? Because again, I breathe on my own, I digest on my own, I sleep on my own, all of these things without me thinking about. And those are the aspects of doing. Those are the aspects that are aligned with flow, which means that you don't have to wake yourself up. You don't have to digest your own food. So if you can put yourself in that same flow when it comes to your life, most of the things, if not all of the things that you want, will manifest without little ease to you. I mean, with ease to you, without you doing so much work to try to obtain it, breaking your back, being somebody that you're
Yeah.
not. Again, developing your personalities in manipulative ways to get what it is that you want, instead of just being authentic and let whatever you believe in bring it to you.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. Agreed. This is really kind of like it'll go into the book, but this is like a digression. I remember when Beyonce came out with Black is King, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was a visual album for the Lion King thing. And all of us saw it and it was like amazing. And we were just like, this was definitely a moment when Beyonce was in her zone of genius.
Genius.
And
Mm-hmm.
mind you, I have don't think at all that she went and made this whole thing was like, we need to say this and we need to say that. And oh, I'm gonna kill him and wait till like this and this is gonna be in the board mud. I'm pretty sure when the thing came up and they approached her, about that, and she go, "Oh, that would be fun." And she just went, "Oh, well, how can like I make music and retell it and this and that or whatever." And sure, she might have had like some things to say, whatever, but most of it is just in her being herself, her aligning with like her talent and some of the innovation and stuff that she has, and you know the industry and her talent and just naturally her creativeness and creativity, which they talk about in the book. That's just something you innately have on your own. Like what you're good at or what you're creative in, that is yours, you know. Like you can, learn to draw and to get better at drawing. But if you don't have the creativity to create these new worlds and things, whatever, you can't go on to like make the Lion King story. You can just draw it, you know.
Right.
And the same thing goes for what we're talking about with Beyonce and Black is King. You have to have that creativity, and I'm sure she works with the whole team, but you have to have that creativity, that genius to create that. Um, and that's truthfully in her being. I'm pretty sure she did not go out and do this and that or whatever to try to make that. Because again, if you do not already have that type of creativity, you can't come up with those type of stories and those things. And I'm sure she has like some people like, oh, she probably has another team and other people that help her or whatever. Sure. But at the same time, how do you align all of that to make something so cohesive and beautiful and whatever? Because everybody's creativity is not the same. The truth of the matter is you have to have one focal idea and stuff. And everyone else in your team who comes together comes with that. And it had to be hers
She
because she's the
started with why.
spearhead of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so again, that's that thing of like doing and being. And a lot of it in when it comes to moving in your zone of genius, you have to find specifically what fuels you and what your thing is and what your creativity is. And again, it doesn't have to be curing cancer. It doesn't have to be making Black is King. It doesn't whatever. But you know what you have and what sparks you and gives you that thing that comes whatever. And that is just in your being. When those things come to you, you weren't going out doing something, making those happen to you. That moment of aha and genius came to you.
You.
And it was
Mm-hmm.
just in being. And
Mm-hmm.
so again, it's about that thing again. Absolutely not saying don't go out and do things for yourself, but it's probably better to do things
With
that are
purpose.
with purpose
Be
and
with
in aligns
purpose.
with your being.
Yes.
Specific. Yeah.
Yes. That was good.
Thank you. I'm good sometimes. Even when I'm sick and
Now
my
you good
my
all the
uh
time.
my brain feel like my ideas are walking through mud.
Well, this was a good discussion. What do y'all think? Please share with us. I'd love to know what you think. What do you think?
I think this was an excellent discussion. I think this was you've been telling me about this book for a while, and I'm glad I finally read it. It was insightful. A lot of things you've given me to read, I just feel like, well, you, Ebony, they talk to you. Cause if it's up to me, I'd be making you read all kind of filth and smut all the time.
And I can't take it. The books you be like, I just finished the book. I'm like, what is it about? I'm like, oh, on the phone,
Yeah,
like, oh.
yeah. The problem with me and Ebony is like the type of books I like to read are like very like suspenseful thriller gore, and that's not Ebony's thing at all. Like she does not like violence, but I can only handle violence in like book form. I cannot watch it. I can't actually witness it at all. But if I read a book, I go, oh, okay, because my brain doesn't go there. It doesn't really want to read it. It doesn't really see the thing. Goes, yeah, okay, huh? That makes sense. You know, you stab someone, they bleed. Yeah, sure. But I don't see it in my brain. But if I had to see it on TV, I cannot watch scary movies. But anyway, I'm glad you guys joined us for this discussion of The Big Leap. I hope you guys, if you haven't read it, I hope this discussion leads you into reading it. It's a great book, and we've only touched on so much that we can, that we understand. You're absolutely going to get your own convictions by reading it yourself. So if you have not read it, I encourage you to read it. If you have read it, I encourage you to read it again.
I read it every year.
Yeah, and it'll definitely be one of the books that I read every year too. I think
Mhm.
our next book, which I'm excited to share with y'all, I think will be a book that I will read multiple times a year. Um, and so we're going to end this one here for now, because we have other great books that we want to share with you, and we're really excited to move on to those. So thank you for joining the podcast with no name, and this was our real discussion. I'm Paris.
I'm Ebony.
Okay, until the next book discussion, guys.
Yes.
Bye.